So, welcome to this introduction to Bedside Manner Intermediate. I presume you've already had a look at the presentation for Bedside Manner Beginner, or that you've used Bedside Manner Beginner already, and that you're curious about this new addition to the lineup. Bedside Manner Intermediate is very much a levelling up of Bedside Manner Beginner. It focuses on specific areas of nursing and healthcare, but we're also increasing the focus on learning medical vocabulary. And you can see here that Units 3, 6, 9 and 12 are all specifically focused on building vocabulary. They cover parts of the body, both internal and external, different areas in the hospital and in medicine, and finally the equipment that's commonly used in the hospital. However, we don't stop there. As you can see from the back of the book and from several of the activities in each unit, we're also putting a much greater emphasis on building medical vocabulary using the most common affixes and word roots that are often derived from Greek and Latin. This involves a lot of recycling of vocabulary to help students to be able to decipher as many of these unfamiliar words as possible. So let's take a look at a typical unit. As with Bedside Manner Beginner, we start by introducing a short and limited number of key expressions. These are both area-specific and yet also generally applicable to most nursing situations. After practicing the key expressions, we have a chance for students to quiz each other on the unit's key vocabulary in the word quiz. Students are expected to make simple example sentences from these keywords to demonstrate their understanding. And just a reminder that all the vocabulary activities are available on Quizlet, and that Perceptia's online learning system, which is run through Zengengo, offers a wide range of activities, quizzes and tests for this key vocabulary. And this is really useful for helping students to prepare for class. On this page, you can also see two short reading activities, cultural considerations and a communication tip, which can be done in class. There are comprehension questions available in the teacher's manual, but as with the vocabulary activities, these two reading activities also have comprehension questions available in the online learning system, and this will make your marking and grading incredibly easy. You can also see on page 8 that there's a conversation. This is the first conversation and it's similar to Bedside Manner Beginner, although we expect students who are using Bedside Manner Intermediate to have a little more stamina and a little more background with nursing English. So the conversations go into a little more detail and are a little longer. As with the Bedside Manner Beginner conversations, they constantly recycle the key expressions and keywords while also focusing on natural nurse-patient communication. Moving on to pages 9 and 10, you can see the second part of the conversation, and this is a gap fill exercise to make sure that the students actually listen to the audio. You can check in class very quickly if the gaps are filled or not, and this is also available as a gap fill listening activity in the online learning system, which, as I mentioned before, is available as a supplement to the course book. Below that, we can see the keyword challenge, where students have to recreate the key expressions using one or two keywords. We then move into a role play activity, which, as you can see, involves a lot more key expressions than those listed on page 7. There is, of course, a long list of additional key questions available to students at the back of the book, and they can use these to flesh out their role play. Finally, in this unit, we can see the introduction of some common affixes and roots. This is the first time that the students will have met many of these words, so they're not expected to remember all these words. The words are there simply to demonstrate how medical English words are often constructed. and I'll go into that in more detail in the next page. And as you can see on page 11, we have the first of the vocabulary building activities. This is where students get to learn the meanings of usually 5 or 6 affixes and roots, where the meaning and 2 commonly used examples are provided. Students then have to add a couple more examples from the list that is provided below the chart. Then we move on to the familiar dictation activity and what's the question. The dictation activity is also available in the online learning system. Next, the Get Ready activity points students towards the preparation for the next topic, and finally we round off each unit with a crossword, which I would encourage students to do for homework, again recycling and reviewing the keywords from this unit. Let's take a look now at Unit 2, which you can see deals with 2 areas, dermatology and respiratory illnesses. And again, we have the 8 key expressions, followed by the word quiz and cultural considerations. In this unit, the first conversation deals with a skin disease. And over the page we go again. You can see the vocabulary building with 5 more very common roots and affixes, the keyword challenge, the second conversation, this one dealing with a respiratory illness, and finally a communication tip. The cultural considerations and communication tip should be fairly self-explanatory. Cultural considerations introduces various aspects of intercultural communication in healthcare, while the communication tip focuses on some aspect that has already been demonstrated in the conversations and offers suggestions about how to make communication smoother and more effective between nurse and patient. And again, rounding out the unit, we have the role play activity, the dictation, what's the question, get ready, and the crossword to recycle the vocabulary. At the back of the book, we have a lot of additional resources for students. You can see here the Get Ready vocabulary lists, talking about expressions of pain, and this is the Get Ready vocabulary for Unit 1. It's usually divided into essential vocabulary and useful vocabulary, and of course the online learning system also recycles the key vocabulary. In addition to the vocabulary building affixes and suffixes that are introduced in each unit, we also have an additional table here of more prefixes, suffixes and roots that aren't included in those activities. And here you can see the students' absolute favourite activity in this book. It's the games of explanation bingo. These bingo games are designed to have students communicate while using and recycling the key vocabulary from the 4 vocabulary units. That's units 3, 6, 9 and 12. It's very difficult to make these vocabulary units communicative, but by playing explanation bingo, students can enjoy recycling the vocabulary as part of a game, and I can guarantee no class will go badly if you have a game of explanation bingo. Students absolutely love it. Finally, I can't speak highly enough of the online learning system. It provides a wide range of activities that you can tailor to your needs, and it enables students to prepare for class. It makes grading and scoring incredibly easy for teachers, and you can set deadlines according to your needs. Students find it very easy to use, and in general, students are also very enthusiastic about these activities, which both facilitate and reinforce the learning process. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . There is, as always for Japanese students, a free-to-download Japanese language support booklet, which again provides invaluable support to students through bilingual vocabulary lists, advice for better understanding the conversations, and additional study materials. Of course, you can take a closer look at Bedside Manner Intermediate by ordering a sample copy from English Books Japan, and you can also access the audio from the Perceptia website. If you have any questions or comments, please contact me or Perceptia Press, and thanks very much for making it this far.